There's a lot that comes up in the course of the story that is based on research. But I think one of the things that really struck me was reading the newspaper accounts of a UFO sighting from Hull in 1801 in England, and which I put in as one of the interludes in the second book, in A Fire Within, and which is what's striking about it is how similar it is to a lot of modern sightings. The image of a light that divides and disappears and then appears again, recombines, was really striking. Many of the core events are things you could look up and find the facts, recorded in good non-fiction sources. Sometimes we've added speculative elements which underlie, inform, or otherwise offer possible explanations for what was going on in those recorded events. But yeah, there's a lot of fact in the book. No, it gets built as we go, according to a combination of new information or ideas about the phenomenon around which the books are built, and the internal logic of the stories themselves, particularly as characters evolve and do things that we didn't expect them to do. That's the nature of organic art, right? It's constantly shifting. I think Tamika is probably my favorite because she serves as a kind of everyman figure, albeit, one with a particular identity and experiences of her own. But she's the skeptic who's learning and shifting as the books progress. And as such, she's my sort of stand-in for myself or for the ideal reader. And I like the fact that she can't fall back on hyper-specialized skills or knowledge or money to get her out of difficulties. She's got to be inventive and resourceful the way that regular people do. I like that. Well, we have different jobs. Tom brings the issues and ideas, the macro concerns, moments based on fact that he wants to engage with, and some specific visuals that he wants to see. I build the narrative itself, weave the structure of the story, and develop the characters. Most of the sentence level writing of that first draft is mine. Then Tom reads it, gives me editorial feedback, and then I shape the next draft accordingly. But yeah, in terms of like writing dialogue and character stuff and things like that and description, that's mostly me. Well, that's tricky. As I said, a lot of the raw material is researchable, but this is a novel, so it's always going to be a combination of what is real and what is not real. I can write an account of something that I absolutely know happened, but unless I was there myself, the source material is never going to give me what I need to make it feel real on the page, I could have the bare facts of it, but to sort of really create the feel of the moment, I need to add stuff. So there's always going to be a grounding in truth, and there's always going to be an imaginative take on that truth. That's the gig. That's the $64,000 question, isn't it? And I asked, when I was with Tom once, I asked John Podesta the same question. And I'll repeat the gist of what he said to me, which is, I don't know for sure, but I am open to and am reviewing the evidence which comes my way. At least this is my take on what he said. And I believe that evidence needs to be made more freely accessible, which is something he said. I'm a skeptic in all things, but I think the likelihood is that, well, let's just say I don't believe we're alone in the universe. How's that? Depends on whether I move on to another project right away. If I do, I focus on the new characters and the old ones tend to fade a little, but they never truly leave me. And if I pick up an older book and I'll see them, and it's like bumping into old friends in the pub, and I think, oh yeah, I know who you are. I get attached to characters, so that sometimes killing a character or something can be very hard, because I want them to stay where they are. I want to be able to come back to them. And that's particularly true in a series where I want there to be continuity, because some of what excites me about going back to the books is going back to those characters. The first inspiration was that I had a long-standing interest in the phenomenon since I was a kid, and even experienced an inexplicable event myself when I was in Japan, which is one of the interludes in book one. But the direct inspiration for this series, of course, came from Tom, who reached out to me. And he approached me with this sort of massive, impossible idea of a story spanning all historical periods and different cultures and places. And my first thought was, this can't be done. But I was always also excited by the idea and by the challenge of finding a way to write this huge, sprawling, far-reaching story. And that was exciting, so that became the inspiration as well. So I thought, yeah, I can get behind that. He approached my literary agent, looking for someone to partner with on this project, someone who had written both historical fiction and stories that had sort of big philosophical implications, I guess. My agent sent him some of my stuff and set up a series of phone calls where we could talk, get to know each other a little bit, and discuss what it was that he was looking to do. And then we got together in California, spent a few days sort of hashing out specifics, and then stayed in close touch since, mostly by phone, for those early months particularly when we were writing the first one, we were talking a lot. And then we'd get together from time to time for events or conventions or something, so that we could keep talking as the project developed.